You'll know a narcissist truly hates you the moment they stop pretending to love you. Because for them, love was never about you. It was about control. The silence, the coldness, the sudden withdrawal. It's not peace, it's punishment. They don't hate you for what you did. They hate you for seeing who they really are. When a narcissist hates you, their silence becomes their loudest weapon. It's not the peaceful kind of silence that comes after understanding, it's the cold, calculated kind that suffocates. It's designed to make you question yourself, to make you feel invisible, unworthy, and desperate for their attention again. This silence isn't absence, it's punishment. And it's one of the clearest signs that a narcissist no longer sees you as useful, only as a reminder of the power they've lost. In the beginning, their attention felt intoxicating. You were the center of their world, every message, every compliment, every look filled with intensity. But when the mask starts to slip and you begin to see through the illusion, their tone changes. Suddenly, the warmth disappears. Conversations that once felt alive are now met with blank stares or one-word replies. You'll notice how they can walk right past you as if you were never there, how they can ignore your pain with eerie calmness. That's not forgetfulness, that's control. The silence is their way of saying, "You don't matter unless I decide you do." It's emotional starvation. They know how much you crave closure, communication, connection, and so they take it away. They want you to feel small enough to beg for crumbs of attention again. They want you to chase the version of them that never truly existed. And when you do, they'll give you just enough words to keep you hooked, then vanish again. It's a cycle designed to make you believe that the problem is you, not their manipulation. But the truth is their silence has nothing to do with your worth and everything to do with their fear. They can't handle accountability, truth, or emotional depth. When you confront them, when you stop playing their game, when you no longer feed their ego, they retreat into silence because that's the only way they can feel powerful again. It's not that they don't have words, it's that they don't have control. This phase is one of the most painful because silence leaves room for your mind to fill in the blanks. You'll replay every conversation, every fight, wondering what went wrong. But what really happened is that you stopped participating in their illusion. And that's when they turn their silence into a mirror, reflecting back every insecurity they planted in you. You start asking yourself, did I push too hard? Was I too much? But you weren't too much. You were simply enough to expose the truth. Their silence is not rejection, it's admission. It's proof that you've reached a place they cannot go. Authenticity. They can't meet you there, so they disappear behind a wall of indifference. And that's your cue, not to chase, but to stand still, to let the silence do what it's meant to do, reveal the truth. Because once you learn to stop fearing their silence, you take back your power. You begin to hear something far more important, your own voice, finally rising above the noise they left behind. One of the biggest signs a narcissist hates you is when they start twisting your goodness into guilt. At first, your kindness was the reason they were drawn to you. They admired your empathy, your patience, your light. But soon, that same light becomes unbearable for them. Narcissists can't stand goodness they can't control. When you act with integrity, when you show compassion, when you speak truth with calm confidence, it exposes the emptiness behind their charm. And instead of reflecting, they attack. Not with open aggression at first, but with subtle guilt. They'll start saying things like, "You think you're better than me," or "You always make me feel like the bad one." What they're really saying is, "Your honesty threatens my illusion." Narcissists can't tolerate the idea that someone might see them clearly. It shatters the fragile image they've built to survive. So when they sense you're waking up to who they really are, they twist your intentions. Suddenly, your caring becomes control, your forgiveness becomes weakness, and your boundaries become cruelty. They use emotional manipulation to make you doubt your own goodness. You'll notice it when you apologize for things you didn't do, or when you start second-guessing your emotions. They'll make you feel guilty for speaking up, for needing reassurance, even for wanting peace. And because you have empathy, the very thing they lack, you'll keep trying to fix what's broken. That's exactly what they want. They feed off your self-blame because it distracts you from seeing the truth. The problem was never you. When a narcissist hates you, they don't always shout or insult. They shame you quietly. They roll their eyes at your feelings, mock your vulnerability, and call your compassion too sensitive. They know how to twist the knife with subtlety. If you cry, they call you dramatic. If you express hurt, I call you ungrateful. Every attempt to connect becomes another reason for them to make you feel wrong. That's their power play, making you question your reality until you start policing your own emotions. The irony is, your goodness doesn't threaten them because it's loud. It threatens them because it's pure. It reminds them of everything they're running from. Your kindness mirrors the emptiness inside them. Your emotional maturity exposes their immaturity, and instead of growing, they choose to destroy what they envy. So when they twist your goodness into guilt, understand, it's projection. They're handing you the shame they refuse to feel. The moment you stop accepting their guilt as truth, their power begins to fade. You'll start to see their manipulation not as insight, but as a confession of insecurity. They can't stand your goodness because it's something they can't fake forever. The very traits they once praised you for, your compassion, your strength, your emotional intelligence, are the ones that now make them hate you. But that's not your burden to carry. It's your confirmation that your light was never the problem. It was the proof they couldn't hide in the dark anymore. When a narcissist hates you, one of the most telling signs is that they stop trying to impress you. The performance ends, the mask falls. The person who once showered you with compliments, grand gestures, and charm suddenly becomes cold, distant, and indifferent. It's jarring because you remember how hard they once worked to win you over. But that effort was never about love, like it was about control. They didn't see you as a person, they saw you as a mirror, a reflection that validated their worth. Once that reflection stops serving them, they no longer need to pretend. In the beginning, a narcissist's attention feels magnetic. They seem endlessly fascinated by you, your ideas, your dreams, your story. They'll mirror your personality so perfectly that you might feel like you've found your soulmate. But this is not connection, it's calculation. They study you to understand what makes you open up, what earns your trust, and how to make you emotionally dependent. When they sense they've achieved that, the illusion slowly fades. You start noticing fewer compliments, less eye contact, less interest in your feelings. You begin to feel invisible in the same relationship where you once felt adored. This shift isn't random, it's strategic. Once they've secured your emotional investment, the narcissist believes the work is done. They no longer need to act kind or empathetic. Their real self starts to surface, the one that feels entitled, dismissive, and impatient with your needs. They'll stop saying, "I love you," not because they forgot, but because they know you'll say it first. They'll stop putting effort into conversations, plans, or connection, knowing that you'll try harder to keep things alive. It's a reversal of energy, and they enjoy watching you try to fix what they broke. The absence of their charm is actually their silent confession. They've lost interest in performing because you've stopped feeding their ego the way you once did. Maybe you've started setting boundaries, asking questions, or expecting consistency. To a narcissist, that's a threat. They don't want an equal partner, they want an audience. So they withdraw affection to remind you who holds the power. They want you to miss the version of them that never existed, the one they created to gain your loyalty. When the mask finally falls, what's left is emotional emptiness. You'll see the impatience when you talk, the boredom in their eyes, the irritation when you express feelings. They'll make you feel like you've changed, like you're the one who's too demanding or too sensitive. But you haven't changed. You've just stopped being blinded by their performance. Their indifference isn't your failure, it's their unmasking. And while this stage is painful, it's also freeing. Because when a narcissist stops trying to impress you, you get to see the truth without illusion. You realize that their love was never real. It was a transaction. And in that realization, you reclaim your power. You stop trying to earn affection that was never sincere, and you begin to understand that real connection doesn't require performance. It requires authenticity, something a narcissist can't sustain once the spotlight fades. When a narcissist hates you, one of the clearest signs is that they begin to rewrite the story and cast themselves as the victim. It's not enough for them to move on, that they need to reshape reality in a way that keeps them blameless and you condemned. This rewriting isn't just lying, it's survival for them. Narcissists live in a constant state of protecting their fragile ego, and when that ego is threatened by truth, accountability, or exposure, they distort reality to make themselves look innocent and you look cruel. It's how they maintain their illusion of superiority. You'll see it in how they talk about the relationship. The same person who once told you that you were their everything will now say you were toxic, unstable, or ungrateful. They will cherry pick moments, twist your words, and erase their own behavior entirely. They can't handle the shame of being seen as the one who hurt you, so they flip the narrative. They become the one who tried so hard, the one who gave everything, and somehow you become the villain, cold, distant, or impossible to please. And because narcissists are skilled storytellers, their version often sounds convincing to outsiders. They will play this victim role with subtle precision. To your face, they may act confused or wounded. I don't know why you're so angry. I've done nothing but love you. But behind your back, they'll spread half-truths and lies, crafting a story that paints them as misunderstood and you as unreasonable. They might tell mutual friends, I did everything for them and they just turned on me. What's really happening is that they're protecting their image. Losing control over how others see them feels like death to a narcissist. So, they'll manipulate perception until they once again appear innocent, admired, and pitied. This rewriting of reality can be one of the most painful parts of dealing with a narcissist. You'll find yourself trying to defend the truth, desperate to make people see what really happened. But the more you explain, the deeper you fall into their trap. That's because truth doesn't matter to them. Control does. The goal isn't to be right, it's to make sure you feel wrong. They want you exhausted, doubting yourself, questioning your memory. If they can make you unsure of what really happened, they win. But here's the truth, they'll never admit. Rewriting the story is a confession in disguise. They change the narrative because the real story exposes their weakness. Your boundaries, your clarity, your healing, all threaten the version of themselves they've built to survive. When they paint you as the villain, it's because your truth took away their mask. So, when you hear the twisted stories, don't chase after them trying to prove your innocence. Let them perform for the audience they need. You don't have to play a role in their fiction. Reality doesn't need defending, it just needs time. Eventually, their story will collapse under its own lies, and the truth will stand quietly, waiting for you, steady, unwavering, and whole. When a narcissist hates you, your independence becomes their greatest threat. They can handle your love, your loyalty, even your pain, but not your freedom. The moment you stop depending on them for validation, the dynamic shifts. You begin to stand on your own, and they feel their control slipping away. To a narcissist, control is love. Without it, they feel irrelevant. That's why your independence, your ability to think, feel, and act without their influence, triggers such deep rage and resentment. In the beginning, they may have encouraged your confidence. They loved your strength because it made them look good. But as time passes, that same strength becomes inconvenient. They'll start calling you selfish when you make your own choices. They'll accuse you of not caring when you take time for yourself. Every act of autonomy, even small ones like setting boundaries, saying no, or taking space, becomes a personal attack in their mind. They don't see you as separate. They see you as an extension of themselves. And when you start pulling away, it feels like abandonment to them. You'll notice how their behavior shifts the moment you stop reacting to their manipulation. When you no longer explain every feeling, when you stop chasing their approval, when you start focusing on your peace, they panic. They'll suddenly accuse you of being cold, distant, or disloyal. What they're really saying is, I can't control you anymore. The silence, the guilt trips, the sudden emotional outbursts, all of it is a desperate attempt to pull you back into orbit. Because in their world, love means submission, not equality. A narcissist doesn't want a partner. They want a source of validation. When you begin to validate yourself, they lose their supply. And that loss feels like exposure. Your independence shows them the truth they spend their lives running from, that they are in control, not adored, and not as powerful as they pretend to be. That's why they hate you for growing. It's not your strength that hurts them. It's what your strength reveals about them. You'll see them try to sabotage your progress. They might minimize your accomplishments or make you feel guilty for moving on. If you start healing, they'll call you different. If you start succeeding, they'll accuse you of being arrogant. What they can't admit is that your independence reminds them of their own emotional dependence on control, attention, and admiration. They hate that your peace doesn't include them. But this stage, the moment when they start hating your independence, is the moment you're finally free. It's proof that their power over you has ended. The distance they create isn't rejection, it's liberation. Because when you no longer need their validation, you begin to see them for who they are. small, insecure, and powerless without someone to dominate. And in that clarity, you reclaim your energy, your voice, your life. That's the ultimate victory over a narcissist. Not revenge, not confrontation, but freedom. The kind of freedom they can never destroy, because it no longer depends on their approval, only on your truth. When a narcissist hates you, it isn't truly hatred. It's fear disguised as contempt. They don't hate you because you're bad or wrong. They hate you because you've seen the truth. You've seen behind the mask they spent their entire life constructing, and that is something they cannot forgive. To a narcissist, being seen for who they truly are, fragile, insecure, and hollow, feels like death. Their entire identity depends on keeping that truth hidden. So when you expose it, even silently, your presence becomes unbearable to them. They'll say they despise you, but what they actually fear is your clarity. They fear that you can no longer be manipulated. They fear that you no longer believe their lies. The power they once held over your emotions begins to dissolve, and without that control, they feel insignificant. For a narcissist, insignificance is the ultimate terror. They survive on attention, whether it's admiration or anger, and when you withdraw it, they are left face to face with their emptiness. That's what they hate the most, that you are no longer feeding the illusion that they are powerful. You'll notice this fear in their behavior. They may lash out with sudden cruelty, smear your name to others, or act like you never existed. These are not signs of strength, they're signs of panic. They are trying to destroy the evidence, you, the one who knows who they truly are, because deep down, they know that once someone has seen their real face, they lose the ability to manipulate that person again. The rage you see is not about you, it's about the loss of control. It's about the terror of being powerless. But here's what makes this moment powerful for you. Their hatred becomes proof of your growth. The more you heal, the more they struggle to maintain their delusion. Your calmness confuses them. Your silence threatens them. Your peace exposes their chaos. You no longer respond with emotion, and that absence of reaction, that self-control, is what they can't stand. They need your emotional energy to survive, and when you stop giving it, they begin to unravel. A narcissist's hatred is not rejection, it's recognition. It's an acknowledgement that you've become something they can't destroy. Self-aware, grounded, untouchable. They may try to paint you as heartless or cold, but in reality, you've simply stopped playing the role they assigned you. You've stepped out of their story, and now they're left alone with themselves. That's their greatest nightmare. So when a narcissist claims to hate you, understand what that really means. It means you've broken free from their illusion. It means your truth has become louder than their lies. It means you've reached a level of strength they cannot comprehend. Their hatred is not your burden, it's your proof of victory. Because in the end, the only thing a narcissist truly hates is losing control. And nothing is more powerful than the moment you realize they already have. You